I think I was in 2016. I was kind of wary of supporting Bernie Sanders, partly because of the Bernie Bros, right? Like, I think have like they've given their candidate, a bad reputation. So that's kind of why. But 4 years later, I'm seeing how these things are like revolutionary ideas that are not. For me, I don't understand why, if we are spending trillions of dollars in wars, why can't we convert, just get out of that America first internationally, mindset, and just let's do America first, but let's work on our infrastructure. Let's work on the people that.
Well, that's what he campaigned on, right? That's what Donald Trump campaigned on. He campaigned on, these people in Washington, which I'm not a part of, which is we already know is a bunch of BS. They don't actually use your money for things that are gonna really matter. Jobs, infrastructure, which he used over and over again, making the healthcare system better. Has he done any of those things? He hasn't done a single thing. The Democrats offered him infrastructure plan. He didn't do it. They wanted to work with him on healthcare. What was his plan? Strike down the Affordable Care Act, and then we'll come up with a plan. Where's the plan? I still don't see it. We're 4 years in practically, and you still haven't come up with an alternative. So for me, I think Trump fooled a lot of people into thinking that he was going to do some of those things that he never did. I think that's the thing with Trump. If you can get someone who can undermine that and say, oh yeah, I understand what you were telling American people because I relate to that, but you didn't do any of it, you're a hypocrite. Here's what you actually did. And I think that's the problem.
A bunch of false promises.
The problem with the current, I think all of them, to a certain extent, at least when you think about how they talk about Trump, is they don't highlight those things. They just say, oh, personality-wise, like he's terrible, nobody likes him, all that stuff. We saw that what happened in 2016 when we focused on that, he won. You can't take him down on a personality level. It has to be about, like, now you have a record of the stuff that is not good at. Attack that. And I don't see people doing that.
To go off what you said, I think Trump giving people promises is the same thing what Bernie's doing.
Oh, absolutely not. That's absurd.
He's giving us promises, free college, free medical for all of this that will happen.
How are you gonna? That has overnight. That's an orange and an apple. You're doing oranges and apples.
I'm not comparing Trump to Bernie. I'm saying these.
Yeah, you just did.
He's the ideologue, giving us people ideas.
He is not an ideologue. He has literally. He has him.
Free medical for all.
There are literally House and Senate bills that reflect every single policy platform that are sitting in Congress.
That would never pass.
Medicare for all has more co-signers in Congress than
Affordable
Care Act ever did.
But it would never work. It would never work in this country, though.
Medical
for all does not work for this country.
Who's going
to pay for it?
So that's the tax piece. When you look at the difference, basically what you're going to be doing is, instead of paying absurd premiums, deductibles, co-insurance costs to a private company who's going to make money off of your back, you're going to actually pay less, and it's going to shift to taxes. And that's going to guarantee a nonprofit system where you don't have to pay anything when you reach point of service.
But you just said it's going to shift to taxes.
Right, because you got to think about. But you're doing a math equation. You're doing a math equation with a plus and an equal sign, and you forgot one of the numbers in the formula. There's 3 numbers in a formula. There's a something, a plus or a minus, another number, an equal, and then another number. You're doing math with just one number, an equal sign, another number. That doesn't work.
Do you honestly think Biden's a good candidate? Like, I don't think. I think people see him as a front runner, but he has not performed well in any place.
A good president, yes. A good candidate, I'm scared. I see him in the
We already saw in Iowa.
Electability.
So I think as gay men, shouldn't we be supporting a gay man, like, to be president?
Well, the majority of gay people in America support Bernie Sanders. So, and poll after poll say the same exact number, and that number has not changed since the beginning of this election, with the gay man, without the gay man. So tell me about that.
I like Bernie because of the consistency since the 60s. That's why I like Bernie. So I'm like in between, right? I have like these different views, but at the same time, I want to be realistic, but I want to be a dreamer too. Like, I don't think we should be scared of radical ideas. Like, I think Bernie can be the next FDR of our time.
Yeah, but it's just right now, it's just too risky to be playing with fire.
But here's the thing. Here's where I completely. First of all, 100%. We need a woman in the White House. Absolutely. Women we need a change in culture. We need to like up. I mean, personally, that's why I support Bernie Sanders and Warren because they want to upend the system. I think we need to upend the system. But anyway, the only point that I want to make because I really like what you were saying is that we really need to remember that the way that the federal government was set up was to be a slow moving train. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. There's checks and balances. There's the courts. There's the Senate and the House, right? So they're supposed to check the power. And I think the point that I'm making is, you're right. You need someone who can show that they're not afraid to present something that may get shot down. But guess what? At least you're not showing up to the negotiation table already trying to lose. When you get in front of Congress, it happened to Obama. Obama came with universal health care. We're gonna get 100% coverage. The healthcare system is gonna revolutionize. And then guess what happened? When he got there, he got a lot of it accomplished, but guess what they didn't put, which was a really important piece? They didn't have a public option. And so the whole thing imploded. And now ACA is actually a pretty bad thing in a lot of, unfortunately, Trump states. But not because of him. It's because the Republicans have obstructed the implementation of the Affordable Care Act in a lot of the states where they have control. And that's the thing, you have to go with someone. That's why Obama was popular and why he won, because he said, you know what, I don't care what these people think. I'm gonna come up, I'm gonna close Guantanamo Bay, I'm gonna do ACA, I'm gonna do all these things. Did all of it work? No, because it's real. That's how it works. But you can't go to the table like Klobuchar does, and she's like, well, you know what, that's probably not gonna work, so let's only do like a quarter of it. We can't really afford that, so maybe let's not do that. That's why she's not winning. It's because people don't believe in her. I'm Amy Klobuchar, and I'm only gonna give you half of what you should probably get. Like, who wins on that?
Yeah.
Nobody wins on that.
That and the media narrative too. I think women are being
absolutely
downplayed by the media.
The things that they get scrutinized for.
Women get scrutinized for a small thing where a man does it.
Unless you're Hillary.
Oh, they scrutinized her for everything.
No,
they did scrutinize her. No, they definitely scrutinized her.
Hillary was the most
but because she was probably the first woman presidential candidate who had a chance.
But did she lose? Really? Did she lose votes?
No.
She didn't lose in votes.
Did she lose? Yes, because she's not the president.
Right,
but she won the popularity
She lost
vote.
the votes in these key states because
she had a bad campaign.
She
didn't go to Michigan. She didn't go to Wisconsin. She went to Minnesota once.
In the perfect storm, the media was on her emails for constantly. Meanwhile, Trump is out there parading these tactics, and then at the end for election, Comey sent a letter out. Oh, we're gonna open the whole email thing.
Like that was like 2 weeks before.
Right, and that
killed her.
That's what. Okay, you know what? It's something. It's a here, there, no there. Mm-hmm. That caused her to go.
But
fortunately,
at the end of the day,
and Russia interfering with also. These trolls online promoting.
But she didn't lose. This is my problem. She didn't lose votes. She won the popular vote.
She won, and she would have been a great president.
The system, the electoral college system, is broken. I think it doesn't work anymore. It's something that should be eliminated. I don't know what you guys think.
We lost Gore.
I just think another factor is just simply that there's always a silent majority that you always forget about. And I think during the Trump and Hillary election in 2016, that's exactly what we saw, was the silent majority come out and say we want Trump as a president. What do you have to say?
I would say I agree with you. There's a silent majority. The silent majority is the 100 million people who did not vote.
No,
not the people. Not the people
yes.
who voted for Hillary and voted for Trump.
I'm sorry. The majority you talk about are the racists who finally woke up. Oh, this guy saying what we like. These racists.
Didn't he get less votes than Romney?
Yes, he did. Deplorables who don't vote, but he's saying there are things they want to hear. Oh, he's racist.
But I think that's what the media wants us to think is the issue. I think the issue is that people are disillusioned by the existing system.
A lot of voters didn't vote.
4.5 million people who voted for Obama did not vote. Yeah. They voted down ticket. They didn't vote for her because they didn't like her. Because she represents what they don't want.
It's not true.
Unfortunately, you're seeing that again. Unfortunately, you're seeing that again.
That is true. There's a lot of Bernie supporters didn't vote because they're... Look, this is the thing. I may disagree with her all the time. Meghan McCain on the I Love the View. I may disagree with her so many times, but she did say something that for me has always stuck. Republicans fall in line, Democrats massacre each other. And it's the truth.
Obama said it one time, I think, not too long ago.
It is the truth.
As
Republicans, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what they, loyalty. It's like when you're your best friend. Like your best friend
President Obama
tells you,
said it
I
not too
killed
long
someone.
ago. Democrats are circuit the firing squad. We beat on each other. We beat on ourselves.
That's the problem.
And that's sad. And these people.
That's why I think in this election, if Bernie Sanders wins, moderates need to get behind Bernie Sanders.
And if he doesn't win,
Biden wins, Pete Buttigieg, everyone needs to go behind
I don't want to
him.
hear any people saying Bernie or bust. If he wins, if he loses, and saying corruption, saying DNC, it was rigged. I don't want to hear that shit.
I mean, I think the thing is, you can't do those behaviors and those practices and not expect people. I mean, look at Iowa. Iowa was a complete disaster. And the more we learn about it, the more we figure out that, hey, guess what? Almost all the people involved in that app that crashed were involved or had some relationship to the Buttigieg campaign.
That's not true.
It's been reported across multiple
It's
sources.
been debunked.
Debunked by what? They have video of the people going to his birthday party. They all know him.
In Iowa.
But also, I saw.
But it's like, because
Tell me how was the bump?
I saw videos. Like, how does this
heard it.
work at caucus? I don't even know. I honestly am not really educated on the caucus system. But I'm pretty sure if I see this, middle American woman flipping a coin to see who gets delegates, that makes no sense.
The caucus
That
system
makes
is
no
garbage.
sense. Why would you flip a coin? This is what upsets me is that people don't understand that literally people's lives are at stake at this
Absolutely.
point, right? With Trump, we run a lot of dangers, right? We saw what almost happened with Iran, right? 4 more years with the Senate as it is right now. Let's amend the Constitution to have a 3rd term.
As a person of a different nationality that is not the majority, and as someone who has lived in communities that have suffered the most under Republicans, I grew up in Florida, so I understand. We cannot afford another 4 years of Donald Trump. We could literally have a vegetable that is attached to a robot, and that would be a better president than Donald Trump.
You are Cuban by heritage. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of Cubans who are Trump supporters.
Mm-hmm. There definitely are, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of Venezuelans also.
Yep.
Trump supporters because they claim socialism or communism, or the fact that everyone has the same, destroy their countries.
Right.
So that's why people don't they want Trump because Trump is keeping these bad people out of America.
Right.
Or the United States. So as Latinos, how do we feel that our Latino brothers and sisters, those who have been hurting, feel that way? And they support a president who clearly does not do anything
I
for
think
either Puerto Ricans,
Yeah.
U.S. citizens.
I think the problem is, and this is going to be very short, I think that there is a very poor understanding of the global situation that actually has caused some of those situations. We have a very poorly understood sort of understanding of what the system actually looks like in Latin America and why it is that way. We do a lot of finger pointing, but we don't actually do why is it in this situation? We don't acknowledge the fact that the United States has deposed over a dozen elected leaders in Latin America. Whether they're left or whether they don't agree with America, it doesn't matter. Those people voted for those, and they still assassinated them or deposed them.
We've absolutely been a huge influence.
You know what I'm
in
saying?
Latin America.
So for example, in Venezuela, am I a supporter of whatever's going on there? Absolutely not. I think it's a mess, and they're just as corrupt as the Cuban regime is. The same problem, and so I understand they have that fear. But what we need to clearly delineate is that in this country, we have a functioning democracy, and it's a very different system than those countries that do not have that and have been obstructed by the United States, ironically.
What disturbs me about people who support Trump, Latinos who support Trump, is they're brainwashed.
Absolutely.
I believe human beings are
just low
stupid
voters.
anyway.
I don't.
Now look.
I don't understand that. If you're black, Latino, or gay, support Trump, I don't understand you. I'm sorry. I don't get what goes through your head. But you know what? That's not me.
So Jay,
I don't get it.
It's low. Sorry. It's low voter. Unfortunately, it's low voter info. I understand.
If you're gay, Latino, and black, support Trump, or even a woman.
Okay, that I definitely don't understand.
I don't get it. I don't get it. But
here are 4 educated Latino men talking about this. There's a lot of before 2016, I was just like, oh, who's running for president? Oh, okay, cool. That was me. Now I'm like, oh wait, what? We have to get involved. We have to do this. So I'm glad to see like if there's something positive that Trump has done, is this awakening of like this,
people
this,
engaged.
you know, the younger people.
2018
We even
people
have J-Lo on the Super Bowl, you know, making a political statement, you know, with "Let's Get Loud" and that whole performance.
I think before 2016, we were all living in a bubble of we're safe, we're good, status quo. Hillary was gonna win.
Right, because we're educated and we're upper middle class.
Things will be normal as usual. I thought Hillary was gonna win.
That's the truth. We are.
I lived in Michigan, okay, and I did all of my like clinical work and my groundwork in Detroit. And let me tell you, those people were not happy with the status. There's a reason why. Again, like you have to connect. Everything is connected. And I'm gonna bring it back to 2016 because you brought it up. Did Clinton get scrutinized because she was a woman? Absolutely. Did the Russians interfere? Absolutely. Did Comey screw her over? Absolutely. But guess what? They didn't go to Michigan, which was consistently voting for Democrats for 20-something years. There's a reason why a Republican became the governor, is because the people were sick and tired of the same over and over again. You come, you take our votes. Black people, we love you. Here's the votes, da-da-da. And then guess what? You don't do anything.
It was expected.
Also, I think a lot of the black vote in Detroit was down from 2012, 2016.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole state, the entire Midwest, Ohio.
It is an outreach to the black voter in our base. We were having out a different scenario. And
so what can we do now? Us. Let's say the four of us are. I'm like, okay, we got to do something. It doesn't matter what we do in New York, because New York is a progressive state. I feel like. Doesn't really.
New York will be going blue no matter what.
Right.
Well, for me, I have a dual residency. I have a home in Florida and New York, so I vote in Florida because.
So what can we do as four people, right now?
Pick us a Senate seat or a House seat nearby, and campaign for it. Pick a state nearby. PA is only 2 hours away. Go there and campaign for the nominee.
So what are some ideas that someone could do?
I
think I could throw parties. I think I could throw parties.
I just think right now the only thing you can do is just have a conversation with people and just
absolutely
and just
canvas
and just engage with them. I just think it's just a little too early for that because you don't have the candidate who's going to run.
No, but there's a full primary going on, and there are people who.
Well, yeah. Okay.
They need that support. So I will say, as someone who has canvassed, called, and texted for Bernie Sanders, you can do a lot of stuff. But I agree with you. I think you should have conversations, especially all of us who have family like all over the country. Like for me, I'm probably maybe of all of you, because I'm not going to assume like your families, but I have the most Trump-leaning people in my family, I think, probably, being Cuban. And I've had the tough conversations. Like, but what do I do? And this is for like everyone who's in the situation. The most effective thing, listen. Let them talk. Let them say everything they have to say, why they think Trump is better, all that stuff. And then don't try to talk over them. Don't try to argue with them, because you're not going to get absolutely anywhere. They're going to dig their heels in. You just have to let them make the argument, listen to it, and try to understand and come from an empathetic place. Because when you come from like, oh, but Trump is terrible, they're going to be like, bueno, tú no sirves para nada. And they're not going to listen to you.
Question. At this point, knowing Trump for 3 years now, do you think it's a lost cause?
For who?
For your
absolutely not.
That they're still diehard supporting with Trump?
Probably the men.
Or you think it's more...
Probably the men. I'll say the men.
You think it's probably better off going to voters who don't vote, who are more...
That's the most effective
who are more
strategy.
aloof.
That's what we're doing.
People who are more aloof probably have a better chance to go to our side and then tend to convert the MAGA crowd.
Find out what matters to them. Why are they supporting Trump? What is that reason? And you're going to have to realign their values. The biggest misconception with Trump is that people thought that he had like good intentions. That's when you talk to people, especially my favorite are the people who have abandoned Trump, thank God, who have abandoned Trump and have gone to other candidates or are thinking about voting for a Democrat. Those are the people we need to be listening to, because that's how we figure out, okay, what is that logic? Why did you do that? And then that's what we need to be having our conversations with our families. Like with the older relatives of mine, I tell them about their grandchildren, and I try to explain to them like the long-term impacts of how your grandchildren are going to suffer because of this decision. This is a really big, important issue, not for you. Yeah, you have everything you want. You have your house, tienes trabajo, tienes el carro, you have everything. But the people who don't have it secure yet, what about them? This election is not about you, it's about the people. Even for me, I'm only 30, but still, like, after me, you know, there's going to be other people. Like climate change, we haven't even talked about climate change one time in this conversation.
I totally agree. I think climate change is also a bigger conversation than just the primaries or who.
I mean, that's a global issue. I think it's going to affect the entire...
That for me is like, it should be a bipartisan issue. You know, I think more and more, in my opinion, Republicans are waking up to the fact like things that are happening are not normal.
The number of people who support that climate change is real is, I mean, in the Democrats, it's basically 100% at this point. But with Republicans, we're actually seeing the number change. The problem is what you just said, is that that party is basically susceptible to
their short-term goal, having more money in our
Absolutely.
pockets and getting lobbyists
from
their campaigns.
It's all about money.
I feel like they care about that and power than actual our world. They care about
because they can just build their bunkers in the Rockies and
they
screw
care about
everyone.
power.
Unfortunately, so many of the Republican Party are so constrained by the money that keeps coming into their campaigns, right? And the lobbyists and all of that they might feel one way, but they're forced to play their hand another. If I had to pick a candidate, I would say I'm stuck between Sanders and Biden, but right now I'm still sticking with Biden.
But funny, you say they're the two like extremes of like the.
They're sort of both on the opposite side of the spectrum, but I just think
that's an understatement.
I just think like a lot of the stuff that I've been mentioning today is just that about electability and who has the potential to win, and who has the potential to win to beat against Donald Trump.
So who you're saying at the end?
So you're in between the two.
I'm in between Biden and Sanders,
one
but if
right
I had
now,
to
right
pick
now.
one, I'd say Biden right now.
Okay.
So my question to you is, and I don't know how much you've like paid attention and been following, given his performance in the last in all the debates, his performance in Iowa, the like very well publicized gaffes that have come out, and now the controversy with the impeachment.
With Biden and
do you think that electability is still? Do you still feel that way about electability?
I feel that now it's absolutely decreasing.
Okay.
His electability potential is absolutely decreasing in my eyes.
So you're supporting a candidate that you don't really believe in then? That's what you just said.
I think that it's still too early.
I don't know who he told, which one of the two, if anybody remembers, who he told in the last debate, oh, you're probably going to win. I was like, are you kidding? I mean, it was the first thing that came out of his mouth, the first line in the debate. And I don't know if he was looking at, because he had Buttigieg on one side and Sanders on the other. And he said it to one of the two. But I was just like, this dude is not going to fight for you. I don't understand how anyone thinks this guy is actually going to go out there and stump for you and actually beat Trump on a stage. No.
Well, yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
To 2020.
Right. This is exciting.
Road to 2020.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.